Good evening and welcome to the West Orange Board of Education Public Board Meeting on Monday, April 24th, 2023. I would like to thank you, all of you here in person and those watching from home, for joining us tonight. I would like to welcome my fellow board members, as well as Dr. Schoen, Mr. Moore, Ms. Flowers, and our student liaison. Ms. Flowers, would you please take the roll call?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Roll call, please. Mr. Ifker.
Here.
Mr. Stevenson. Ms. Tunnicliff. Here. Ms. Huerta. Here. Mr. Rock.
Here.
Thank you. Notice of meeting. Please take notice that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the following manner. The New Jersey Open Publics Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests are discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, a written notice was sent from the Office of the Secretary of the Board on January 6, 2023. That said notice was sent by regular mail to the West Orange Township Clerk and the editors of the West Orange Chronicle, and by email to the Star Ledger. That said notice was posted in the lobby of the Administration Building of the Board of Education and posted on the district website. Please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcasted on local TV and the district's website at a future date. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, in consideration of the closed and public meeting of March 20th, 2023, do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Tunnicliff. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Vice President Huerta. Any comments? Hearing no comments, Ms. Flowers, please take the roll call.
Mr. Ifker.
Here.
Ms. Tunnicliff. Here. Yes. Vice President Huerta.
Yes.
President Rock.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, next, good evening to our student liaison, Lance. Would you please share your report at this time?
Congratulations to the West Orange School District on being named one of the 2023 Best Communities for Music Education. Congratulations to senior Stephanie Nicolescu, who spoke in front of middle school and high school aged girls at the Young Women's Conference in STEM, organized by the Princeton Plasma Physics Lab at Princeton University. On Friday, March 31st, Saturday, April 1st, and Sunday, April 2nd, the cast and crew of West Orange High School's Grease performed to a sold-out audience nearly every night. Congratulations to the West Orange High School Orchestra, who performed at Carnegie Hall on April 3rd. On Tuesday, April 19th, West Orange High School held a Student Life Expo for incoming freshmen to introduce them to all the activities, clubs, and sports that are available for them to join. On Monday, April 20th, the West Orange High School College Career Fair was held in the Tarnoff cafeteria from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. During the school day on Friday, April 21st, West Orange High School athletes celebrated Earth Day with a campus cleanup. On Tuesday, April 25th, the Chamber Orchestra will be performing their Chamber Music Night in room 1201 from 7 to 8 p.m. Roosevelt Middle School presents Legally Blonde Jr. the Musical, which will be held at 7 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, April 28th and 29th, and 2 p.m. on Sunday, April 30th in the Roosevelt Auditorium. Yes, at the West Orange High School Auditorium, sorry. On Thursday, May 4th, the spring chorus concert will be held in the West Orange High School Auditorium from 7 to 9 p.m. On May 5th and 6th, Edison Middle School will be performing their production of Shrek Jr. the Musical in the Edison Auditorium. Liberty Middle School presents their musical Descendants, which will be held at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, May 10th to the 12th in the Liberty Auditorium. On Thursday, May 11th, the Spring Orchestra Concert will be held in the West Orange High School Auditorium from 7 to 8:30 p.m. On Friday, June 2nd, the Italian Club will be having their annual Italian night from 6 to 10 p.m. in the Tarnoff cafeteria. There will be a number of performances, including singing and dancing, and scholarships will be presented to graduating seniors. To purchase $25 tickets, email viamabile@westorangeschools.org or rzimloot@westorangeschools.org. West Orange High School senior prom tickets are now on sale. Tickets cost $100 each, and the prom will be held at 6 p.m. at the Birchwood Manor. And lastly, from the student liaisons, we are deeply saddened to learn of the tragic passing of West Orange High School science teacher, Brad Mitchell. While I personally never had him as a teacher or knew him, I know plenty of people who did, and we are all grieving together. We wish our sincerest condolences to his family and everyone affected. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Schoen, it is time for your report.
Thank you, Mr. Rock. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to continue what you ended with, if I may. Today, we'd like to share some very sad news with you. Today, we learned of the passing of Mr. Brad Mitchell, our science teacher at West Orange High School. Mr. Mitchell was known as a kind person who believed in the potential of each student. He has been described by many colleagues as a true supporter and friend. And I quote, "He was friendly, outgoing, and just simply pleasant to be around. His heart was always in the right place." Mr. Mitchell received his bachelor's degree from Rutgers University, a master's degree from St. Peter's College, and completed additional graduate work at Keene University. He has served our community since 2005. His sudden loss deeply saddens all of us, and I feel it most appropriate to ask for a moment of silence. Thank you all very much. Mr. Guerrera, along with Ms. Butler, our Director of School Counseling, and her team, which include members of TLC Traumatic Loss Coalitions, will be available to support the needs of our school. We kindly ask that if you notice a staff member or a student who needs help with coping with the loss of Mr. Mitchell, please reach out to someone in the school counseling department or an administrator. Thank you. Moving on to board meeting topics this evening, I'd like to share that the West Orange Council of PTAs was a recipient of the NJPTA's Advocacy Award for the pre-K work at their convention this past weekend. Ms. Tez Rora also presented a workshop on their advocacy work and partnership with the district. We congratulate our council PTA members and remain very grateful and appreciative of their partnership with us. At this point, I'd like to move into our school safety specialist presentation and introduce Ms. Phil Santiago and Mr. David Marion. Would the board members kindly move to the front row for our presentation? Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Phil Santiago, Director of Technology and Administrative Services for the West Orange Public Schools. And by my side is my colleague, David Marion, who is the principal of Kelly Elementary School. And we serve as a district school safety specialist. And I want to give you an overview of what we've been doing as it relates to school safety. So one of the things we really want to start out with is school safety and security is truly a collaborative endeavor. And as we begin moving forward with this presentation, all the information you're seeing is really truly a reflection of this collaboration between all these entities. We're talking about Stonegate consultants, faculty who obviously protect and implement the policies and procedures, the police department, Office of Emergency OEM, Emergency Management, National Guard, by the way, they have the Armory, which we use as a place to go to in case of emergency, the Transportation Department, Fire Department, Technology Department, as we start digitizing everything. And we have, of course, Buildings and Grounds, School Administration, and the Board of Education, who provides support and obviously supports us as we need to move forward. So having said that, we will start with who are school safety specialists, how did they come to be, and how did this come about, basically. So it's required by law that every single superintendent assigns a school safety specialist in a district. It can be more than one, but typically it's one, perhaps two if necessary, and we have two. The requirement is for the certification is a 4-day training. Our training took place in Randolph at the Police Academy, and it's delivered by the Office of Emergency School Preparedness and Emergency Management. In addition to that, There is one course that we have to participate in, which is part of FEMA's ICS 101. It's essentially an introduction to the incident command system, which is required. We also have to have annual training and certification. So obviously to maintain our certification, mandatory training, which is required. What is the role, the responsibility? Pretty much oversight of policies and procedures, serve as a school district liaison with law enforcement, state, national level, and then provide the necessary training and resources to school district staff. One thing we want to start with is communication. So obviously, during a time of emergency or just general communications are critical. So we have multiple ways in which we communicate with constituents, with our faculty, with each other. So the first one is our district telephone system. It's a Cisco VoIP-based system that has actually redundancy. If the internet were to go down, we have backup lines associated with those numbers. We can dial out regardless. We have a school messaging notification system, which if you get a call at 5:30 in the morning, it's usually me sending it out to somebody else on our team, telling you that school's closed, snow events, things like that. That is the system that we use. District website, which a lot of people go to right away. Social media, Perry Bashkoff has been amazing. He works with us and he puts a lot of stuff on social media. TV 36. We have cellular phones and mobile hotspots that we use to communicate in case of emergencies. That's really critical for us. Radios and walkie-talkies are another form of communication that we have with transportation. And in Alyssa's Law, we actually have silent alarms that are placed in specific areas in our schools where if there was an emergency, you press that alarm and the police department would get communication about it. And then they would come and obviously address the issue if there was one. I put a student information system here because that's a really important part of this. So in case something were to happen and we needed to communicate out to parents, but we have our student information system, which by the way is off premise. That's done by design. Some school districts want to have it in-house. My recommendation we all agreed upon was really put it off-prem because it's backed up. And if something were to happen with our network, everybody can get access to the information systems through our phones and other means. So that is set up there for a purpose. And our district security cameras, we have a lot of cameras throughout the district. It's pretty impressive. The high school alone is 45% of our cameras are at the high school. And basically New Jersey statute requires that any school district with a minimum one building, if they have a security system in place, they have to provide the police department with access to that system. In many cases, districts will give police officers a laptop, wireless connection. We did it a little bit differently. So we actually own our own network in the district. We invested this way back in 2009. And as a result, we invested last year, 2 years ago, the support of the board, a private connection from our network to the police department. So as of now, the police department has 2 large screens, 2 large computers. If there was ever an emergency, they have immediate eyes in our cameras, which is really important. So that's a critical piece. And all of this is basically under the memorandum of understanding that's set up between the police department and the West Orange School District. Alyssa's Law is a requirement that every school must have silent alarms, which we have in place. They're installed again in designated areas. We have external strobe lights. So if we have a lockdown and there was a silent alarm in place, doors will lock. And anybody coming into the building, they would see those strobes and say, don't come in, we're in lockdown status. So that is required and that is in place. We have something called Gaggle. Gaggle is a student safety management system that we use in grades 6 through 12. What essentially the system does, it's basically monitoring content in our network, basically in our Google services. So students' folders and email communications internally are being monitored. They're flagged for inappropriate images, HIV kind of language, content, and obviously someone may have depression and things of that nature. They get flagged. There are individuals actually processing this, looking at this data, and if they feel that there's a threat to a student, they will notify us. So the process is content analysis. Experts are reviewing it, real people reviewing this, specialists. And then if there is a need, there's really 2 categories. One is called questionable content. The other one is called a possible student situation. The PSS is one of those where we'll get a call right away. So if we think there's a student who's in risk of, perhaps feeling depressed and having some negative thoughts or other kind of, unfortunate situations, we would get a call. Usually the chain of command is where the chain of call comes to me from the police department or from the company to me. If it skips me, I don't pick up, it'll go through superintendent. Superintendent doesn't pick up, it might go to the principal. excuse me, if the principal doesn't pick up, it goes to the police department. But there are protocols and chains of call that are really important. So this is something we've been using for quite a while. It's been really effective, and it's a priceless tool. We also have something called the Raptor system, which is basically part of our visitor management system. So every faculty member coming into the building will check in and out, they'll sign in and out. And that's really important. Why? Because we want to make sure we know who's coming into the building, staff, any visitor, and students we all already know through attendance. So part of the visitor guest system is a little bit different. They come in and we are going to start, it's already being tested throughout these schools. Parents come in, they put a driver's license in place, we do a background check. The background check is strictly through a sexual offender database. Public information, anyone can get it, but it does allow us to vet some individuals. And we essentially basically work to have a process in place where everything's secure. Nobody comes in without going through a vetting process. The data, by the way, is stored off-prem. This is really important. Why? Because some schools will have parents come in or visitors come in, they'll put on a piece of paper. If there was ever a lockdown of the school, you can't get to that piece of paper. Well, now with this system, if the school was locked down, we'd be able to log into the system remotely and see everybody coming in and out. So that's one of the really critical things to have here. Exterior security measures, we have a number of them, some of which, by the way, have been ongoing for quite a while. The first one, the clearing of bushes and trees to ensure clear vision of schools, we've been doing for a long time. Maintenance has been working on this. Large trees, bushes that block windows that we need to see, they will cut them out, prune them properly. Signage, we have the signage right in front of the building. Every door you come into tells you pretty much trespassing statutes. Single point of entry is critical for us. We really want to enforce the fact that everybody should come in through the same entry point whenever possible, especially visitors. All visitors come through it. And we've had people coming in and out through that process, that visitor management system. The high school is a little bit different because obviously we have such a large building and there are multiple entries and they're also manned. So we do have that system in place. And then we secure all the perimeters. All entry points are secured, locked with access control. Access control is basically an ID. Swipe to get in, if you're allowed to, obviously. Ground lower level windows, they have screens and limiters, so people can't open those. And then we have actually egress windows that we use and we check to make sure they actually open up completely. Strobe lights, again, are part of the list as well. And then we have access control card IDs that, by the way, are set up, they're permissions based. So some individuals have permission to certain buildings, some do not. And it is time controlled. If you're a teacher working in a specific building, you might have access to that building from 7 o'clock to say 3 o'clock. After that, no weekend access, things of that nature. Number of windows, by the way, we have numbers on the windows on the outside in case there was an incident. If somebody wanted to sort of reference where is that room located outside in the schools, you'll see by the window a number that says that's classroom number, there's maps for it. And then digital surveillance cameras cover the main entrance and the school perimeter throughout. We have perimeter coverage with cameras. Interior security measures. So we have the Raptor visitor management system. You come in, again, the same process. You get vetted, you get an ID, and you move forward to see the person you're visiting. There are security vestibules, push button locks in all interior doors. That's critical. One of the key points that was stressed with our trainers who came in to train our staff is lock that door. If there's a lockdown, just press that button, make sure it's locked. We have shades we pull down, and that's a really important piece. So we made sure we cover all those. And we have ID badges for all employees. They're color coded, again, with those time restrictions.
Okay, Mr. Santiago provided you with a lot of information there. While the New Jersey Department of Education only requires a superintendent to assign one designee to be the school safety specialist, we here in West Orange decided to go with a team approach. With all the information that Mr. Santiago shared with you, you could see he looks at school safety and security through a district lens. Myself as a building principal, I'm looking at school safety and security from a building lens. So this partnership that we're doing, we're kind of covering all bases and looking at it through different lenses to make sure that we're not missing things. Some things that we do on the building level, monthly drills. This is a mandate. We are required each month to conduct one fire drill and one school safety security drill. There are 4 major drills that you could see up here: active shooter, evacuation, bomb threat, and lockdown. We do those twice a year. That is a mandate that we do those twice a year. Some other drills that we may conduct throughout the year as well include but are not limited to weather emergency, shelter in place, reverse evacuation, tabletop exercises, and bus drills. So those are some of the drills that we do. Along with these drills comes a lot of training for our staff, our administrators. Some of the training includes our global compliance network. Teachers are required to do a minimum of 8 hours of mandated training. This is a variety of topics that they're trained on. It could be school safety and security procedures, as well as how to respond in the event of a specific medical emergency. So they are required to do that each year. We do work with Stonegate Consultants. They are a third-party organization that comes in. They help us review our emergency management plans. They help do walkthroughs through our buildings and make recommendations for security. They also come in and in-person train our staff once a year as well. Some of the things that we're looking to do to build out that training model is at our leadership team meetings. We meet every other week as principals, that myself and Mr. Santiago would get an agenda item on there that relates to school safety and security for each meetings starting, up in the next couple of months, where we would review procedures, protocols, common language associated with drills. So that way, all of our schools are saying the same things. We're releasing drills in the same way. And that way we're all on the same page. That we really want to kind of make sure we're all doing the same thing in all of our buildings. Our administrative team will be trained over the summer. Who's doing from the New Jersey Office of School Preparedness and Emergency Planning. They'll be coming out and training the entire administrative team. At faculty meetings, we want to make sure that we're maximizing everything that we're providing for our teachers and making sure that we're prepared. So we're going to try to add agenda items such as review of emergency policies related to school safety. Also reviewing drills, picking a drill per meeting to kind of just review, hey, what do we do in this situation? Let's review so everyone's on the same page so they continue to hear that common language. Mr. Santiago talked about the school safety specialist training. We came out of that training and we thought that information that we were provided in that training was so valuable that we made a recommendation to the superintendent that moving forward, we think this is valuable information that all of our principals should have access to. So we're going to be putting together a training schedule over the course of a number of years where we send a couple of principals to this training each year. So now this team grows each year as teachers get certified and we go from a committee approach to a full team approach. And the more people we have working on this, the securer our buildings will be moving forward. Also, we have some training in the summer for our security guards. They'll be receiving CPI training. What CPI training is restraint training. And we want to make sure that if there's a student that is in danger to themselves or a danger to others, that when we are forced into restraining them for their own safety or other safety, that we're doing it the proper way and we're following the mandates that are associated with that. In closing, you could see here in West Orange, we have a number of security measures in place, but we're not done. We're going to continue and keep working. We're going to continue to work with the West Orange Police Department and build out that relationship. We're going to continue to work with Stonegate Consultants to get as much information as we can from them and take on their recommendations, reviewing our practices, our procedures, and our preparedness as we continue throughout this initiative. The safety of our schools, our staff, and our students is always a priority. And thank you for allowing us to present this to you this evening.
Certainly. You got it.
Thank you for that presentation. Very thorough. Does the board have any questions?
I do.
We'll start with Robert and work this way. I heard him first.
Good, okay, so thank you. Two questions. Very thorough. The the two major things that have been stressed in all of these unfortunate incidents across the country is one entrance policy and security guard at the door. So my questions for you is the one entrance policy stressed? And let's just take the high school. How many security guards are at the high school and are they armed?
Well, we have a number of security guards in terms of armed. I don't have the exact number. I can get that. No one's harmed as far as the SRO officer. SRO officers. Yeah.
6.
And the idea of keeping, it's hard, but keeping it one entrance in and out and the rest, everything pretty much locked down. Is that?
Yes, it's hard in the sense that, I mean, sometimes you have recess in the background. If there's an emergency, people will have to come in through the back. But the protocol is pretty clear. The reason we have the visitor management system at the main entrance is because we want everybody coming through the main entrance. There's also something we didn't quite indicate, which is that the guest-host relationship is critical as it relates to people coming into the building. If someone comes to the technology office to visit us, we get a call from downstairs and say, someone's here to see Phil Santiago. I go down there, I grab the person, I bring them to my meeting. I return the person back, very politely say, thanks for coming. I see the person leave. That's an important procedure and process that should be part of the regular process here. So, but in short, yes, the goal is to funnel everybody through one main entry point, use a visitor after system to make sure that we vet them properly. And then internally, that's why we have these procedures that principals and staff will support and move forward with this.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
And by the way, I wish I had one thing that I've been in the hallways where I don't have my ID and I've been questioned quite a bit of times, like maybe a new teacher doesn't know my face. Can I help you? I'm like, oh, I'm the director of technology. And I'm like, here's my ID. So people know to ask those questions.
Thank you.
Ms. Tunnicliff?
Thank you, President Rock. I assume there's no FERPA laws that are being violated in giving the police department access to video.
No, there's actually a memorandum of agreement that's very specific as to when they can and cannot watch that video. So actually there's process in place. So the police department has access to the system. They don't use it.
Mhm.
We have a way to sort of look at every login and we'll do those as we go through processes. But no one can actually just log in and just monitor.
Okay.
If there is truly an emergency, then obviously we want that right away. And I think that's really important to stress. That is critical. If someone by the mistake even press a silent alarm, before the police get there, the police already see what's happening. Say, by the way,
Mhm.
we don't see much, so don't go there too aggressively, but it is good to have those eyes before anybody gets there. And I think the camera systems are really critical for that process.
So
But
they have to log in first before.
they do,
can-
under
okay.
certain circumstances. They don't just log in for no apparent reasons. If there was an incident or emergency, they would log in and they would have the means to do so. Now, we also put 2 computers there specific because I want a backup. If something were to fail on one system, we don't want a single
Yeah.
point of failure. We have a backup, which is another line.
Okay,
That makes
thank
sense,
you.
yeah.
A few more questions. With regards to Gaggle, how many threats have you been able to address over the course of the several years that we've had this product? Has it been fruitful?
When you say threats, they could vary. I think
Or-
we've had a lot of instances, and being the first person on call, I will tell you, on a Friday watching, a show with my wife, and all of a sudden I get a call, and an hour and a half later, I'm coming back and saying, we'll watch that tomorrow. We take those on a regular basis. It's hard. We have reports. We can give that information. We've had a substantial amount that I think it's worth the has been worth the investment for a long period of time. I think we address students who sometimes are having a tough time. And sometimes the writings themselves lend themselves to sort of see something that we need to address. And we have the support teams that provide those students with the guidance and the support that they need. We talk to the parents and the police get involved right away. The critical thing here is we want to identify early, right?
Right.
And then act on that. And then manage the students to go through whatever struggles they have. So
Okay.
that's very important. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And I know you mentioned the faculty swipe in and the staff swipe in. I know the students have all, at least here at the high school, have been given an ID. Do they have to swipe in as well? I guess my thinking is, how do you know who is in the building at any given time in terms of if there's an emergency? You have a roster of who's in the building that day from faculty and staff, but how do you know from students? I know it's self-identifying if to call the attendance line or to email the attendance line nowadays, but is that, how do we get a quick assessment of who's in every class in terms of, 2,400 students in the high school? How is that done?
Well, yeah, I think you mentioned the attendance piece is critical. So if a student is actually in school and the teacher does attendance on a regular basis, which they do, that's one way. Our students actually use IDs for a lot of things, believe it or not, even going to the bathroom, they swipe in. So there are different ways to sort of, keep track of students. Do students go out to lunch? Sure, they do. They go out to lunch.
Right.
But we track the best we can, given the resources that we have and the tools. And I think the main thing is if a student comes, I used to be in the classroom. If I had all my students come in, I would know exactly where they are all the time. Who goes out. We have tools that we use for the Smart Pass to see who students going out. We track those students going out to the bathroom. So we have multiple tools that allow us to sort of keep track of students going out. But attendance is critical. And teachers are doing that.
So that's the main thing. If there were an emergency and you had to evacuate the high school, you would go to the attendance line first and figure out who has, because I know as a parent, sometimes I've been delayed in getting it, done. So you may be missing students. I guess what I'm trying to figure out is how do we assess who's missing from the building? Or, if you're outside at a drill, what's the next step for that? Are teachers counting off and making sure they see every student and
Sure.
know?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's like anything else. Again, going back to my experience as a teacher, I knew where all my students were and we did a drill, go
Mhm.
outside, automatic attendance. You make sure everybody comes with you, those students. And I think we're dealing with really professionals who've been doing this for a long period of time. They're very vigilant with that. They're very cognizant with that. And that's what they do from every day.
Mhm.
It's attendance. If someone goes to the nurse, those things are tracked. They go to nurse, we track those things. The nurses have access to those students. And so that's really, it's part of our process. This is, field trips to New York City, imagine that. We take kids from Manhattan and all of a sudden come back with
Yeah.
all of them. It's always, they all come back.
Can you talk a little bit about, you mentioned Smart Pass. Some families may not know what that is. Can you just
Yeah, it's a software.
elaborate on that?
It's a software application that they use at the high school where you're able to, student wants to go out of the bathroom, they swipe and you keep track of the students going in and out. So that's it's another tool to monitor and help students, go places and come back safely.
Great. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
of course.
So how do you think we're doing compared to districts around us?
I think we're doing exceptionally well, and I'll tell you why. I think we've invested this long term. I've been here 28 years. I've been a director for 14 years. We have a pretty impressive security system, Genetec, top notch, right? We've invested heavily at the beginning. We've invested long term. So as part of that, we have over 440 some odd cameras in the district. We have access control throughout. That can't be done overnight. I think that this has been a really long term investment, and because of the previous board members and you, it's been a continuous build. And I think as we look to harden our schools and use systems, and by the way, everything's become digitized. If you think about it, before it was analog and locks. Now everything is through technology supporting a lot of these things. So we continue to invest in the cameras, high quality cameras, high def cameras, increasing storing of videos for surveillance purposes, more access control, more cameras. It's a continuous ongoing process. So I think we've done exceptionally well because we've invested early. So that would be my answer. I think we've gone through this. The high school does a phenomenal job in terms of addressing all kinds of issues, right? And that team with the deans, everybody else, they know these processes, they know the drills. Is it challenging? Of course, but I think we've done exceptionally.
Thank you.
I do have a couple questions. For the trailers, since they don't have Raptor doors, what are we doing to protect, those? And even though we don't have many, I think Washington's the only one that has a trailer still, but for example, off building, like the bubble, right? Things like that. How are we protecting or making sure that those areas that are not attached to the main buildings are?
So they're locked, and obviously the people coming in, there's process for don't let people you don't know in, and if there are passes. And again, it goes back to that guest host relationship. You are supposed to check into the main office. You check into the main office, you have to go somewhere. There should be some kind of communication. There usually is, at least best of my understanding is that. And then maintain, I guess, host relationship. I think one of the really important things is if this parent is picking up the student, remember where that student is, there's a process in place. You go to the main office, you show your identification. Most of the times, the administrative assistants and staff know the parents, so they have a relationship with the parents. So those things are kind of in place. But I think relative to the trailers, obviously someone's outside you don't recognize, you could call, you keep the doors locked, and you address those things as needed.
Right. Okay. To the school?
No, they have the means to communicate, yes, yeah.
How do we protect from, for example, people with IDs or ex-employees, janitors, and is there a particular protocol that comes into play once? Mhm.
Yeah, so if someone gets, say someone leaves or has to leave right away, we get a call and we deactivate everything immediately. So IDs get deactivated, emails get deactivated, full access control gets deactivated. So it'll vary on a circumstance. Sometimes they're just temporarily disabled, other times they're just permanently deactivated. And communication sent out based on the case and the incident, and we address it that way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for answering all those questions. I think that,
Thank you both.
Yeah.
Great job.
all right, thank you again, Mr. Santiago, and sure,
Is that right?
go ahead, Dr.
Well, you were saying thank you first, and then I wanted to say something. I can go?
Yes.
All right, one final comment to everyone, if I may. On tonight's agenda, you'll find a resolution appointing Mr. Hayden Moore as acting superintendent of schools beginning tomorrow, April 25th. I am confident that he will excel in his new position and guide our district in reaching higher levels of success. When I started as your interim superintendent on March 1st, 2022, 14 months ago, my professional goal was to keep our district ship afloat during my time here. My personal goal, however, was to make a difference through the building of relationships. I hope I was able to accomplish both. Professionally, we shared an opening day convocation with all district staff to celebrate each other together as champions that they are. We planned and secured through the efforts of an incredible preschool expansion team, a tremendous grant that has and will in years to come make a huge difference in the education of our community's 3- and 4-year-olds. We formulated meaningful and thoughtful school district budgets for the last 2 budget seasons through the efforts of a talented central office team, just to name a few. Personally, I've been fortunate to work with one of the finest administrative, teaching, and support staffs I have ever worked with during the course of my career. I have been grateful to have fostered relationships with many of our parents and community members who have advocated for their children and our programming. I have been appreciative of the opportunity to work alongside an extremely supportive Board of Education. And I have been privileged to witness our community gather together for a hometown champions celebration to recognize exceptional fall sports season at West Orange High School. It is for those reasons and many others, and with a great deal of respect and appreciation, that I extend my sincere gratitude for allowing me to serve as your interim superintendent. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Schoen, for your final superintendent's report. We certainly do appreciate all of the things that you've done for us here in West Orange. Yes.
Got to accept.
Can you hear me now? Oh, can I take it off? Is that one? Well, I hope that's a glimpse into how casual I am. But I want to say thank you to Dr. Schoen publicly. It's been a tough journey, a long, hard journey. What a beautiful community you are, West Orange. You're terrific. But let's not be without a great and be remiss. Let's not be without a beautiful sense of gratitude to someone that has held us together and has shown us a way and a path and has helped me grow to where I am today, and hopefully will help me with my future endeavor as I work hard and committed to this
I
community.
got you.
So thank you,
I
Dr.
got you,
Schoen.
Hayden. Got you. Very much.
You're welcome.
All right, do we have any committee reports or comments from the board at this time?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, Robert, go ahead.
Thank you. So first of all, I too want to thank Dr. Schoen. It's not easy being an interim anything. And this district has had its share of superintendents. And we really appreciate everything. I know it's a hard job. I knew it was a hard job in February when every weatherman predicted snow, sleet, rain, hail. So what could she do? She canceled school for the next day. I mean, not a snowflake hit the street, nothing. So then everybody's, you can't win. You can't win. So we appreciate all of your efforts. Mr. Rock, this is budget season, which is why I wanted to say a few words. I am the newest member on the board and I've tried to speak less and listen more, but now's the time when we have to talk a little bit. I was elected in November, started in January, and we're in 2 weeks or May 8th, we're going to be voting on a budget. Let me tell you what I've been hearing, not just from campaigning, which I did 6 days a week, up the hills, down the hills, every neighborhood. But also I've been treating cancer patients in this county for 30 years, 15 in Newark and the last 15 here. Many of my patients, friends, colleagues from all neighborhoods in West Orange. You come to my office, it's a beautiful thing. Some speak English, some are trying, some still speak their native language. It's really a blessing. So there are two things that I've been hearing in all this time. One is, why are our taxes so high? Our taxes are high. And you know that most of that comes from the school budget. The other thing I hear is, well, if our taxes were this high, but we were really happy with the results, okay, I can live with that. But what I hear from a lot of parents, especially the moms, is my kid can't read at his grade level, or my daughter is in 5th grade and she's not reading at a 5th grade level, and we can't afford a tutor. Now, we all know this. This is why you went into this field. This is why I ran. This is why we're all on the board. And this is why people are here. So this is not really just a money issue. This is an issue of, we need to do better. If you look at the assessment on the website, we have honor students, which is great. We have English as a second language, and there are mandates that we must go by to make sure that they get what they need. We have mandates for special needs kids. But if so many of our kids are not reaching where they should be, it's a problem. So I know that sounds like a lot of doom and gloom, but we have to be honest. And we had a conversation earlier, and everyone, I want to commend Mr. Rock. We have agreement, we have disagreement, but it's done in a very professional, pleasant way. Then we ask about each other's families, and then, we move on. There's no hatred or venom here. We're all here for the same reason. I don't question anyone's motives. So what I would say is that based on the budget that was presented at the last meeting, I would ask Mr. Moore and his team to go back, and it's not just about where can we save money here. I'm interested in that, but I'm more interested in where's the focus of these people. If we have 11 new staff coming on, are they going to the essential services that our kids need? That's what I'm asking. And I'll let the others speak for themselves. We can't undo, we can't fix, we can't change everything in one budget, especially a budget where you're kind of inheriting it feels like, because you're not there yet. But after tonight, this whole thing's yours. Right? So
Move this back a little bit.
hold on a second. So I would like to try to do our best with this budget, show the people, the parents, the taxpayers, everybody that we're really moving in the same direction, that they're being heard. And then after that, then we have room to run. I will end my brief comments on a positive note. Hayden Moore, I couldn't have found a better guy than you. I mean, every time I speak to you, I'm more impressed. You're so kind and gentle, but you really have some steel in that spine. And I really think with your experience, principal, administrator, parent in town, I mean, right around the corner from me. I really think that you're the right guy for the job. And I would just say to you, I have your back. Please be bold, lead us. Your success is our success. And I actually am confident going forward. That's it.
Thank you, Robert. Somebody else have committee reports or comments they'd like to share?
I'll just echo the sentiments of Mr. Ivker. Sorry, I call you Robert, so. Our district is going in the right direction, and we're here for those difficult conversations. Our community knows that we're here to talk it out, and the input of the community is going to be very critical going forward. And we're not afraid to have those tough conversations. We're very frank with each other, but at the end of the day, we're going to be mission driven. Our focus is student achievement. And we love our district. We want to be here, and just keep improving. So that's it.
I just want to say thank you to Dr. Schoen for the last 14 months of helping us lead and being here for us as a board, and for your leadership. You've done a great job, and I was very grateful to work with you closely as the president. And I would like to just wish you well in your next endeavors. And thank you so much. And also to Mr. Moore, thank you so much for stepping into this role. And I know you're going to do great things for the district. So we look forward to working with you over the next couple of years.
Thank you. I'd like to share my board president's report at this time and highlight Kelly Elementary School. Kelly Elementary celebrated SEL Day. This day focused on social and emotional learning. Students participated in classroom activities that focused on mindfulness, self-awareness, relationship skills, social awareness, gratitude, as well as a host of other self-care activities. Kelly Elementary celebrated Disabilities Awareness Week. Everyone wants and deserves to enjoy life, feel productive and secure. Next week, students will take extra steps to raise awareness about the support and rights of people with disabilities and to celebrate their contributions to our communities and society as a whole. And finally, Kelly Elementary will be participating in the Flags for Heroes program sponsored by the West Orange Rotary Club. Pleasant Valley Way will turn into a memorial for our servicemen and women, as 100 flags will be installed and flown proudly for a couple of weeks leading up to Memorial Day. Yeah, it's very cool. A couple other comments. I see Mr. Wecht in the audience. Earlier, I guess it was last week, he had organized an event at Roosevelt with a Holocaust survivor to come and speak to the students. I and Ms. Huerta were able to attend. It was an amazing experience. So thank you for organizing that. Lance mentioned Greece. I got to see that whenever, seems like forever ago, but it was an amazing show. So congratulations to all the staff and students and cast and crew that were involved in that. And then this weekend was the Traffic Fest, the Nikhil Badlani Foundation, as well as the Pedestrian Advisory Safety Board put on over in Washington. Got to stop by at the end of that. So it's been a busy couple of weeks. And finally, Dr. Schoen, the night that I got sworn in, I did not expect to get a call from Dr. Cascone saying he was resigning. You know, I ran for this position expecting him to be sitting here. Yeah, or it could be Mr. Stevens, and he's not here. So we'll blame him. That's the reason Scott quit. But pretty quickly, we found that our job was to find a replacement for Scott. And as we sat there deliberating who to select as our interim, I think we made the right choice. Looking back, I think we've done a lot of good work as a board with you here. So thank you for all of that. And I think we've made the right choice moving forward for who's going to carry us, you know, far into the future. So congratulations, Mr. Moore. All right, so next we will have questions from the public on agenda items only at this time. Any community member who would like to make comments or ask questions, please come to the podium at this time. Dr. Schoen, did you have to say something about the HIB report? Should we rewind the clock? We'll just hold that for the end of the agenda. It's okay.
Just hold it for the end. We'll let Ms. Rowe go. Ms. Rowe, I discussed prior to the meeting, but if there's something else you wanted to say.
Good evening, everyone. Taz Roro, Hutton Avenue for address. So I'm glad that I was able to make it today. When I saw on the agenda about the transition, I was like, wait a minute, I thought we had you till the end of the year. So it sounds like we do in some capacity. I'm happy, of course, to be working with Hayden as well. So you mentioned in your statement, you know, your goals were to keep the district afloat and to make a difference by building a relationship. And so for those of you that may not know, I get to serve as the president for the Council of PTA, which is a district level PTA, and we work with the superintendent and the Board of Education. So we do work directly with them. And I think you've done more than keeping it afloat, quite honestly. And I remember back in March, when you were announced, I came here and I said, I'm going to have a meeting with you, right, to talk about priorities and to make sure that some of the priorities like pre-K stayed priority during transition period. And I want to say thank you for that. We talk a lot about leadership, and sometimes you give a lot of the credit to Ebony, which, you know, her and her team have worked hard. But I think sometimes just getting out of people's way is also great help, right, to make things happen. So that was an advocacy project that we worked on for a couple of years that finally came true. And so thank you for that. You know, I'm a certified feminist. I always say that it's great to see women in leadership. And what I appreciate about you is you're just a straight shooter. I never really have to wonder what you're thinking, or there's no ulterior motive or politicking. It is what it is. It can be done or it can't. Therefore, the energy can be focused on delivering results, right? So I appreciate that. There's some conversation about taxes being high, and I see that quite often on the social media world as well. I think all of us would like for our taxes to be low. I hear it quite often as a real estate professional. I will say that the fact that we have pre-K now makes our tax dollars go much further, right? The average daycare is about $1,500 a pop, a child. And so that's actually one of the things I talk to my clients about, you know, coming to our town. Now we have this program, and over the next 5 years, we hope to make it, you know, a universal pre-K where consider that, right, in your home buying decision. So I just want to make those comments. Thank you for, you know, your service. We appreciate it. And I look forward to, I guess our meeting is going to be earlier than July, huh? Thank you all.
Anyone else with comments on agenda items?
Good evening, Ann Ali Ahmed, 63 Woodland Avenue. Dr. Schoen, I wanted to say it's been a pleasure with you here. I joined the Miss Hunt, is her name, that was just up here? Or, sorry, about seeing you in leadership was very good, a female, and how thorough and straight shooter, which pretty much people know I am. And I also wanted to say thank you to the board for voting in Mr. Hayden Moore, who I personally have come to love as my family, for his help in helping raising my 6 children who are well accomplished. And his guidance still to this day with my children, that anyone can turn to him at any moment of any day. Doors are always open. And our district, I am sure, as I am standing here, will be phenomenal and continue to grow under his leadership. So I thank you each personally for saving our district. Thank you very much.
And seeing no one else with comment at this time, we will move on to our resolutions. May I have a motion to approve the personnel items A1 through 8?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Tunnicliff. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Vice President Huerta. I want to congratulate the following retirees. Of course I will. Jean Boland, basic skills teacher at Kelly Elementary for her 34 years of service. Michael Fess, a special education teacher at West Orange High School for his 30 years of service. Lisa Marks, a first grade teacher at Mount Pleasant Elementary for her 28 years of service. And Fernando Molina, a custodian at West Orange High School for his 16 years of service. Thank you all for your service to the West Orange students and our school community. Best wishes to you on behalf of the Board of Education, and welcome to the club where every day is Saturday.
Yes.
Vice President Huerta,
Yes.
President Rock.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, may I have a motion to approve the curriculum and instruction items B1 through 7?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice President Huerta. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Tunnicliff. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Flowers, please take the roll call.
Mr. Ifker,
Yes.
Ms. Tunnicliff,
Yes.
Vice President Huerta,
Yes.
President Rock.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, next, may I have a motion to approve the finance items, special services items A1 through 5, and business office items B1 through 9?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice President Huerta. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Tunnicliff. Any discussion?
Just a comment. I wanted to thank Edison Middle School PTA. This goes on to further prove that PTA is very effective in making a big difference in the experience that our children have in our school district. So if you ever doubt or, think that PTA is just about the bake sales and the cookies, it is not. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and oftentimes it goes unthanked and goes unnoticed, but I just want to make sure that we acknowledge that the Edison Middle School PTA has donated this $8,000 for our students to go to Frog Bridge field trip. So just continue to do that work and get involved and advocate for the children of this district. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, seeing none, Ms. Flowers, please take the roll.
Mr. Ifker,
Yes.
Ms. Tunnicliff,
Yes.
Vice President Huerta,
Yes.
President Rock.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, before we take a motion to approve the reports, Dr. Schoen, could you share the HIB report?
I would love to. There were 10 investigated cases since our last board meeting. 3 of those were confirmed, and I agree with our anti-bullying specialist report. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the reports? Item D1.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Tunnicliff. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Vice President Huerta. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Flowers, please take the roll.
Mr. Ifker,
Yes.
Ms. Tunnicliff,
Yes.
Vice President Huerta,
Yes.
President Rock.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, finally, may I have a motion to approve miscellaneous item E1?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Tunnicliff. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Vice President Huerta. Is there any discussion?
Just another comment. This is to approve the district calendar, and I just want to point out that primarily we do acknowledge a lot of the Jewish holidays, a lot of the Christian and Catholic holidays. Going forward, if there is interest in putting additional holidays, there is a list available on the New Jersey website. I'm sorry, there's a list of approved holidays that our district is able to take off for and be approved by the state. And so we can't approve all of them, but there's different options that our district has. And in order to add those, we need to have that advocacy from the family members and our community members about adding different dates. So I have been reached out about Ramadan or Eid, and those are excused absences, but they're not on our calendar. And so if we do want to see a shift in a different direction or to add and to be inclusive, we can add different holidays. There is a list available. And I think that those discussions should be had as well. So going forward for the next year. That's all.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, Ms. Flowers, please take the roll.
Mr. Ifker,
Yes.
Ms. Tunnicliff,
Yes.
Vice President Huerta,
Yes.
President Rock.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much to all my board colleagues. Next up, we have petitions and hearings of citizens for any agenda or non-agenda items that you wish to discuss. Please approach the podium at this time, state your name and address for the record.
Gary Rothstein, 24 Dartmouth Road. I just wanted to say a word to Dr. Schoen and to Mr. Moore. Dr. Schoen, it was an honor to be a part of the board at the time that we selected you to be the interim superintendent. And just wanted to say, you were impressive at that very first meeting, that first time we met you. I have been a part of a lot of job interviews before on both sides of the table. I've never seen anybody better prepared. And next time that I interview for a job, I'm going to call you to help prepare me. You came to us with phenomenal experience and qualifications. That was, couldn't be doubted. But the way that you approached all of us, it was clear that we were getting somebody of excellence as an opportunity to bring to our district. All of that is true. The one thing that we couldn't have known until you got here was the depth and the level of your leadership and your integrity and your warmth and your humor. And personally, very grateful to you for what you've done for our district and for what you did for our board. Thank you and best wishes to you in your next endeavors. And Mr. Moore, I heard you say a moment ago that you're feeling a little nervous. I know the pressure is on. Expectations are absolutely very high for you, but that's only because you made the mistake of being excellent for so many years here in this community. And that's why the expectations are high. So keep in mind that while the pressure is on and while it grows, just keep doing what you've been doing and you're going to be great for this community and great for our schools. Wishing you the best of luck. Thank you.
Hi, Gina Velasquez, Chair of WOCPAC. I'm here today to thank Dr. Schoen for all of your support that you have provided WOCPAC and parents of the special needs. And I'm also here to congratulate Mr. Moore. Thank you so much. I look forward to the next year, my son's last year at the high school, so I'm happy to do it with you. I also would like to announce that WOCPAC is having our fundraiser to end Autism Awareness Month, April 30th. It will be at the West Orange Elks Lodge on Main Street from 1 to 3. It's a paint and sip. So it's for adults, but kids can come too. But it's mainly for adults. We will be painting this. So please, and you don't have to be a professional. You don't have to have experience. I will be the instructor and you will leave with a nice piece of art for your walls. So please, if you can, join us. I heard Mr. Moore might be there and Mr. Guerrero might be there. I'm not telling. Thank you all, and I hope to see you on Sunday.
Good evening, Nicole Rufo for Overlook Avenue. First, I just wanted to say my greatest condolences to the high school for Mr. Mitchell. I know my son, who's a freshman there, was very affected. Him and his friends both are in a classroom with Mr. Mitchell, and just beautiful sentiments from all the students. So I'm so sorry to the staff and students on this great loss. And I also wanted to thank Dr. Schoen for her time with us this last year and just serving a community, especially in a transition that we've been through a lot in this district in the last 5 years. And then I wanted to congratulate Mr. Moore and this Board of Education on the very important day of officially welcoming Superintendent Moore into our leadership. Congratulations to your family and all those around you that have supported you and encouraged you on this path. I'm a parent of 4 children in West Orange schools, and I will be honest that there have been some times where things have been difficult, and I wondered if this was the right place for us to be. Our school district has been through a lot, and looking at this school board in front of us, you can see that a number of them have experienced or will have experienced working with 3 superintendents in their very short time serving our town. The hiring of Superintendent Moore is a great opportunity for incredible healing, important work, and continued growth. I'm sure everyone here knows what is happening in the rest of this country, actually including other districts in New Jersey, with banning books or telling staff and students that they can't use the word gay in school and not teaching the true and sometimes ugly history of America and the world. In those moments, I'm very aware that this is the right place to be. I'm thankful to be in a district where we can say Black Lives Matter, where transgender students feel affirmed in how they dress and the names that they go by. And I'm thankful that my students are learning about incredible leaders in our history who have worked towards human rights and social justice. My favorite thing as a parent is learning from my own children. And my 5th grade twins did amazing work during Black History Month, came home with a plethora of knowledge. One of my daughters did a project on the civil rights leader, Ella Baker, who I had actually never heard of. She is called the mother of the civil rights movement. And she was behind the scenes working with every leader for 50 years. So kudos to the departments for teaching the truth. My 7th grader just had the incredible experience and honor of learning from the Holocaust survivor that you spoke of at Roosevelt Middle School, and his ELA and social studies teacher, one of them who's in the audience, have been pushing him to think and learn in very important ways. He comes home and engages me in important conversations that tell me that we are in the right place. These conversations are changing him and will hopefully help to change the world. Thank you to Superintendent Moore, Dr. Schoen, the board, and all of our staff for cultivating a safe and inclusive school district where we see the diversity of our students and learn from them. I can't wait to watch Superintendent Moore's journey and see how we continue to grow together. Thank you.
Miss Perry, 77 Maple Street in West Orange. I was here last meeting in regards to bullying at the high school, well, the HIB. I have a couple of questions in regards to how this works. How can we find out as a parent how many complaints have been issued? I know you just went over the amount of complaints for, I guess, okay. How can we find out overall? And are we able to, are we able to see what are these complaints entail? Who is complaining and how is it being resolved in regards to being denied or approved if it's a complaint or not? Who does the investigation? How are the investigations handled? And I find it a problem that if I feel that the school isn't keeping my child safe, and then they're the ones to do the investigation, there's some conflict there. Also, when there's a incident caught on video in the school, how long is that video held? Who reviews the video? And as a parent of the child that was assaulted in the video, why am I not able to review the video? What is the responsibility of the board once a determination is given, if not found favorable to the public? Also, this is just something while I was sitting here in regards to safety. I find it alarming that we have all this safety talk and my son wasn't safe on school grounds. He was assaulted and nothing was done about it. So I found like I hear the talk, but the action isn't happening when it comes to certain people in the school. One more thing I have to say is in regards to, they were saying the entering the school, coming in the front door. One day I was here dropping something off and there was a student coming out of a side door. Now, how do we monitor that if he's coming out and somebody comes in behind him? How is that being monitored? So those are my questions in regards to HIB. I don't like the way I've been dealt with in regards to my complaints. I don't see where investigations have happened. And I don't like that it's just things are being swept under and I'm supposed to be okay with it.
I'm going to do my very best.
Okay,
Let me start from the beginning. The incident that you referred to is your child is at the high school?
correct,
Okay. The first question you asked is determining how many HIBs we have over the course
correct.
of a year. We do a presentation twice a year by law where we talk about acts of violence. We talk about how many HIBs that we have throughout the district. In regard to specific HIBs and what it is that they're for, the board is apprised of that in executive session. I don't mean to have my back to you, Mr. Ifgar. The board is apprised in executive session of what was investigated and whether or not it was determined based on the characteristics of what makes a HIB, which brings me to the third question that you asked. And that is, how do I determine what that is and what makes a HIB and what is that all about?
Sure.
Have you spoken to, and Cheryl Butler is she knows my cell phone number, but I'm going to bring her up. She is our coordinator for harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Have you sat down and had a one-on-one conversation with her in regard to what transpires when something is brought to our attention?
No, I spoke to the principal and then the vice principal, and it was just a whole bunch of mumble jumble of stories and what's not HIB. And then if it's not HIB, what is the school's code of conduct? How do we determine what this incident was?
And that's why I'm suggesting, and I'm going to ask kindly Mr. Moore to follow up with Ms. Butler tomorrow. I think having a conversation with our HIB coordinator and or the HIB specialist at the high school will also help you clearly understand the difference between a HIB
Okay.
and between a student code of conduct,
Okay.
because there is a direct difference, and I think that'll be helpful.
Okay.
In regard to the videos that you brought up, as a parent, if your child was assaulted, you do have the opportunity to see the video in the presence of an administrator. What we can't do is we can't give you a copy of it. And Mr. Santiago, 30 days, is it kept? Approximately 30 days, it's kept on our, it's recorded.
Okay, so why was I told that I wasn't able to? Dean Chung, when this incident happened, advised me because these were minors, which one of the children was not a minor, I was advised that I couldn't see the video.
That's a really great question. And I'm sure that what Vice Principal Chung told you was accurate at the time. It depends on who else is part of the video. Sometimes there are situations that occur where it's the back of a student's head and perhaps your child, which is an easier view. But because I don't have the details in regard to what was in that video, I can't comment to it. I can ask Mr. Moore to kindly follow up, or perhaps you can send Mr. Moore an email if you would, just with your name and your contact information. And then we can work together as a team just to kind of go into it. The problem is that when we talk about these kind of incidences on this level, the board is the farthest removed from anything that occurred in the school.
Okay.
We are the second farthest because our job is not to run the schools, but to make sure that they're run well. So when you bring it to us, what we have to do is we have to go back to the people that are most closely associated.
Yeah, but if they're not doing anything, then where do we find balance?
Well, and that's why coming here, I think, is a great idea, but allow us the opportunity to research and see what's going on, because I can't answer all of the questions with the lack of information.
I'm just saying.
There was a last portion to your question, and I don't recall what it was. There was the side doors and what we do. Thank you. There were side doors and what we do. Unfortunately, students will keep the door open for another student coming in when they're leaving a side door. The only thing that we can do as administrators is be incredibly vigilant to remind our kids. I've watched kids actually close doors to somebody standing outside because they heard the message. It's a constant reminder. It's not a perfect practice, but we do our very, very best.
Okay. All right, so I'll follow up. Thank
Yes,
you
if
very
you'd be
much.
kind enough to do that, just your contact information. Deshawn is in the back. She serves as our business administrator assistant. She can take down everything and we'll get in touch with you tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Have a
My
good-
pleasure.
Just want to add briefly on the topic of HIB, more for general knowledge. We've had a lot of questions about this, so we have asked Dr. Schoen and Mr. Moore. Organization. I think it's at our June meeting coming up. One of the attorneys from our firm that handles some of the legal aspects of the district's work will come to present how that process works. So if parents have questions about how it works and want to understand it better, either tune in or, come to that meeting in June.
Hello. My name is Barry Bashkoff. I live in town, 38 Old Indian Road, also part of the PR and marketing team for probably the past 10 years here at the school district, and might be the first time I've ever stood here, but wanted to just a few moments just to say, as the guy who has been in the middle of a lot of the marketing moments, social media, PR announcements over the past 10 years, coming out of COVID and having a pretty solid superintendent exit, and now figuring out the messaging and how everyone's going to be comfortable coming back into the building. I think we should also acknowledge your leadership in helping everyone get come back to real life. And the transition is never easy, but being able to know that we had you at the helm during this year has been pretty amazing. My dude, Mr. Moore, we got a real one. I think we all know we got a real one. I cannot wait for what's next. I hope you guys feel the same. And I'm just so excited that you're here, man. This is gonna be fun. That's it. Thank you very much.
Right, if there are no other comments from the public at this time, I want to thank you very much for attending this evening. Our next regular board meeting will be held at 7:30 PM on May 8th, 2023. This meeting will be held in the West Orange High School Library Media Center. We will not be going into executive session after the close of this meeting. There will be no further business discussed and no additional action will be taken. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice President Huerta. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Tunnicliff. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can we gavel out and end the meeting?